Kind of what makes the car fit me is that I like a different vehicle. I've always kind of been into, power sports and kind of pushing the envelope a little bit. It kind of stands out from the crowd a little bit, something that brings a little joy and a little spark to my day every time I hop in the car. My name's Austin Wolf, and I drive a 2013 red Scion FRS. That kind of ties in with RC cars. I'd say just like my overall interest in like power sports and high speed and racing and stuff. Like RC cars is kind of like my outlet. Actually, the car that I built, when you get it from the factory, it's just in a bunch of pieces. So you got the instruction manual and you put it all together, and it's got kind of what they think is going to be the best for you out in the track, but you kind of need to make some of your own decisions about the setup and the way that everything's put together. And then from there, you kind of you drive and you kind of just make it yours. And that's kind of one thing I really like about radio controlled cars in general. So the Scion brand is just a great platform to build upon. They're kind of cheap to begin with, but there's just like a huge plethora of aftermarket parts that you can buy for it, and you can kind of make that your own. So it's kind of like the RC car in that way, that you can just kind of, you drive it and you figure out what you think that might improve the vehicle's performance or the way it looks, and kind of tailor that to what you like. So what have I done? So the only thing that I've done so far has been cosmetic. I've just put some taillights on there that I thought looked really cool. But in the future, I think I'd really like to, obviously I have to say it, I'd love to turbo it. Turboing it, I've heard, is just a blast. So I think that it kind of just goes along with RC cars. So I think in the development process of, kind of Subaru and Toyota coming together to build an awesome car, they kind of thought about the key attributes that a car enthusiast wants. And they kind of brought it all into one package, and they kind of threw out all the extra stuff. And they just turned it into this really awesome, high-performing, lower cost vehicle. So what's kind of cool about RC cars is that all of the setup changes and stuff that you do to a radio controlled car translates directly into setup knowledge for a full-size car. And so those actually kind of do go hand in hand there. You can set up a car, suspension, and they're just blown up to a bigger scale on a full-size car. Yeah, kind of what drove me to purchase this DJI Inspire 1 drone was really, it actually kind of brought a couple of things that I really like together. I like to do photography a lot, and I like to work on RC cars, and I like to race them, as well as I like to film like cars and snowmobiles and power sports in general. I thought the drone was just like a really natural step for me to kind of get into doing RC and filming cars both at the same time. It's like basically everything I love all in one. So on these drones, you've got this first-person view on a tablet on the controller, and it feels like you're just like a bird flying around. You can actually see the birds sometimes flying along with the drone. It's really awesome. So before I even had a driver's license, I had a radio-controlled car, and I think that kind of shows how I've always been a gearhead my whole life. I've always been into riding snowmobiles. My dad took me out on a snowmobile for the first time before I was even a year old. And I think that kind of toy and that kind of mentality has kind of evolved into my love for full-size cars, kind of as I develop and as I become an adult. It's really kind of driven me towards this newer, maybe a little bit more mature hobby of cars, and just enjoying the road and handling and commuting every day in a car. That's something I really like. So if we're talking about RC cars, if we're talking about drones, if we're talking about real size race cars, I think that all those things really just kind of sum up who I am and like what I'm interested in. And those are things that I'll always be interested in doing. I think that I'll always be interested in racing my RC cars because I've done it for so long and I love it so much. And I'll always love to fly a drone because it's such a freeing experience. And then as far as cars go, I mean, I'll always be picking a car, and I think that it'll always probably be one of the sporty ones like the FRS.